Um, it's really kind of fun to, I've been telling people we're going back to the future a little bit with Bob Stitt, who was the football coach here for my first two fall seasons as director of athletics here at Colorado School of Mines. And one of the things that really struck me as a former football coach myself was Bob's ability to succeed in an environment where he didn't necessarily have as much support as we have today, the facilities that we have today, and all the great stuff we have today to help us succeed. And really, it's a testament to Bob's hard work and commitment to mines and understanding of the culture here. Um, and then really the other thing that really impressed me about Bob Stitt was he is just an exceptional football coach and understands X's and O's, extremely innovative on offense. And to be honest, when he let me know he was leaving for Montana, one of the most important things to me as director of athletics was to bring in a guy who would continue to do similar things offensively as Bob Stitt, and that was Greg Brandon, a guy I worked with at Northwestern way back when. So for the last decade, we've had the Greg Brandon tree, obviously Brandon Moore and then Pete Sturbick, all disciples of Greg Brandon. And so this time when the job came open, Bob Stitt was definitely on the short list in my own mind of people I'd be very interested in talking to in the process. And the very next morning after the announcement came, I saw his name pop up on my phone and I kind of smiled to myself. So obviously we had to have some serious conversations about just the differences in where the program is today, the differences in where Bob Stitt is today after his decade adventure that he took after he left Mines. But I am very confident as a director of athletics and someone who's been here for over a decade now that Bob Stitt is the right football coach for Colorado School of Mines where we are today. And I am so excited to see what he will do at the new Colorado School of Mines with the new Colorado football program, new for Bob, not necessarily for me. But I think it's going to be a really fun time and an exciting time for Mines athletics and Mines football in particular. So with that, I want to turn it over to any questions you have for Bob or myself.
So, he called it his adventure, the past 10 years. Bob, during that adventure, you probably learned a ton of stuff. But what's maybe the one thing you learned during these past 10 years that you think you know now that maybe you didn't know when you were here before?
That the grass is not always greener, at other places, and I don't regret leaving because it gave me the opportunity to coach at a higher level, and it's human nature when you're at the Division II level or small college that you want to move up and you watch TV and you think, man, it'd be cool to be on that sideline, and I got to experience that, and it was really rewarding for me. And you got to move around and own too many houses, and then all of a sudden, you know, a lot of people ask you, do you regret ever leaving? No, I don't ever regret leaving, but I'd like to be back there. And then you don't ever think that it's going to happen. And I got out of coaching for 3 years and missed it, desperately. But I had a great 4 years with my family. And you spend your entire career raising everyone else's kids, and your kids get put on the shelf, and your wife is kind of just an assistant that you're telling her what you need done because I'm going to be gone for 14 hours. And so it was awesome to come back, move back to Golden, and just be a husband and just be a dad, and find out what it's like when Friday afternoon gets there that there's a weekend coming up. As I tell everybody, I laugh about it. It's like these cool things. They're called weekends, and I got to have that for 3 years. And then Valor called and asked me if I would come coach. And I thought that was a great opportunity, and I loved it. And it just confirmed that I need to get back into coaching. I had a great time, and I just really wanted to desperately get back into college coaching, but I didn't want to move. So how perfect was this? And I live closer to mines than I did before. I'm 9 minutes from the office now. So it's awesome.
Bob, what was your reaction when you saw the announcement that this opportunity was coming about? He said he had a message from you right away. What thoughts were going through your head?
Well, I got a text from one of my former players Sunday night, and it had leaked out a little bit that Pete was leaving, and I saw that, and I showed it to my wife, and I'm like, that's interesting, and so we slept on it, and she was like, you need to get up and you need to call David, and so I called him, and he, David answers. I said, David, I'd really, like to talk to you about this head coaching position. And his words were, Stitty, I'm glad you called. So it was really cool, and it was a little bit strange also because about 2 weeks earlier, something popped in my head, about, it's like, man, being at Mines would be really, really a neat way to finish things out, but you just never think. In football, you don't know what's going to happen, and you can't say, hey, I want to move to Golden, Colorado and coach college football. There's just not that many options. It's not like a normal business. You got to go where the jobs are, and it just ended up the best job in Division II was in my backyard.
You said Valor got you back interested maybe in coaching again. So were you actively looking for jobs before you got with that?
You get into the the open season, so to speak, when everybody starts moving and jobs start opening up. So you're always starting to look at different things, but you can never get too serious because if somebody would call, I talk to my wife and she goes, well, you can go. And I'm just like, at my age, I don't want to go by myself and live in a studio apartment, and I'd miss my dog too much, So it just was never realistic. But then when I did get the Valor job and was coaching those kids, it's like, man, I can't stop. This is too awesome, and so it was just really, really fortunate that this opportunity arose, and David was happy to talk to me. I'm just blessed. Everybody says it's great to have you back at Mines, but this isn't the Mines that I left. David has done such a great job, and the university has done such a great job of taking this to another level. And so it's really, really exciting for me to take this job. It's not something I've got to come in and go, gosh, we got to change everything. We don't have to change much. I can tweak some things. Got a lot of experience that I can help, the staff with, and different things that I've learned over time. But this is not a rebuild. This is just keep it on the tracks. And if I can help with anything there, then that might take us over the next hump, and that's winning it all. We need to win a national championship here. These coaches and players and administration have done an unbelievable job to get it here, and now there's that fine line of how do we get to that next step, and I hope I can make an impact on that.
Coach, I'm curious in particular, what are some of the tangible differences you noticed in those 10 years? What's different upon coming back, and kind of also what's the same? A decade ago.
What's different? We have meeting rooms. I remember meeting in Volk lobby. The whole offense would meet me. I had a VCR under one hand and a blow up in the other, and we would walk around campus until we found a meeting room. Sometimes we didn't get a meet because we couldn't find an open one, and just stuff like that. This is a real football job. And I've told a lot of people, back in the day, there were the programs in Division II that we felt were real. And Northwest Missouri was winning a lot of championships, and Pittsburgh State and Grand Valley State. Those were the real jobs. And now that's what this is. It doesn't resemble things, whatsoever. When I left, and I love the fact that these kids can come into this room and go into the weight room and go into the locker room and hang out together, and it just it puts a smile on my face because as a coach, you want to take care of your kids. You want to give your players the best, and now we're doing that, and nothing's changed. Golden, or nothing's the same. Golden's different. When I got here, it's so different, and so it's just really weird. We had a first staff meeting this morning. I'm sitting in that staff room, and I just looked at those guys and was like, this is unbelievable. This is awesome.
School is still hard.
Yeah, that's the same. Yeah, it's really really hard here to get through school.
David, we talked about how much so much has changed since last year. When he called you, you got that call and you thought, oh, I was thinking about Bob. When you guys met and discussed the job, what did you want to hear from him? Did you have any concerns or reservations? How did I mean, just because you met doesn't mean he's going to get the job.
Right.
How did you go from meeting to saying, yeah, he's the right guy for it?
Well, we'd had some interactions, in the last 5 years in particular, because Bob's been around the program a little bit, and very subtly, not just as a fan, and Bob still had a lot of relationships with alumni, so Bob was still coming to a couple of alumni events once he moved back to Golden. For me, what I thought when Bob left that this program needed, I really looked at CSU Pueblo and John Riston, who built that program back up to and winning a national championship. He and I worked together at Northwestern, and so I kind of knew what he basically did was took a Division I formula and mindset and fit it into the D2 model, right? You can't do it just like D1, but you can do enough of that. And I thought that's what, when Bob left, we needed. And that's why I hired Greg Brandon, because, again, he also worked with me and John Risson at Northwestern under Gary Barnett, and I knew that could be a winning formula here. And so I really wanted to hear from Bob that going to Montana, going to Oklahoma State, going to Texas State changed his idea on how to run a Division II program now based on experience and not any kind of theoretical thing. And so that was one big piece for me. And then another big piece was just making sure Bob knew that I think when Bob was here the first time, he felt like, and I know why he did, that he was a one-man guy, and he had to fight every battle, and it was his blood, sweat, and tears that built this program. And, we were only here 18 months together, but I totally understood why he felt that way and why he did it the way he did. And the other thing I really wanted Bob to understand that was different about Mines was that there are a lot of people here now who are all in on Mines football, who have put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into making this program what it is today. People like Scott Groner in the equipment room, who we didn't have an equipment program like that. We didn't have a sports performance program, which just happens to be led by Trevor Florendo, a former student athlete of mine who Bob coached. Those are things we didn't even have when Bob was here the first time. And those two positions, along with many others, what Tim Flynn has done with sports information. I think if we change coaches, after Bob's first 5 or 7 years, I don't know if we'd have all you here covering it. And so I just wanted to make sure Bob understood that it was not the old Mines, and that was important to me. I think the other thing that really is unique about this is I made a decision when Pete left that all 6 assistant coaches had a place here. And that's a little uncommon maybe in the world of college football, calling head coaching candidates and saying, hey, this place is fully furnished. You don't get to bring any furniture. You got 6 assistant coaches who've really contributed to the success here and really have made a difference on this program. And it's important to me as director of athletics that those 6 guys have a job. And that can be a deal breaker for some guys. But I knew Bob was the kind of guy who could mentor these young coaches and would have a plan to come in, inheriting a full staff and making that work. And that was another important piece for me, and I think for the kids on the team.
Bob, you've worked with a lot of guys, whether it's in the off season, just picking each other's brains, them leaning into your knowledge of the offense. Who have you heard from some assistant
about 500 or 600 texts, you meet a lot of people along the way, and just all my friends in football, and um, I can't even think of somebody that you would know that had reached out. But every place I've been at, they've reached out, and I'm trying to get the text returned late at night.
Like Gundy.
Coach Gundy, I texted him on another thing. And I haven't heard from him. Dana, it's like winning the lottery to get a response from a text from him. So he's a good dude, but I was really happy earlier this year when he got the Nebraska offensive coordinator job. I texted him and he responded, and it was like Christmas because I got a text back from him. But I miss Coach Leach. I wish he was still around because he would hit me up. And Hal Mummy, the godfather of the air raid. Hal called me and left me a message. He's like, "Call me when you get a chance," and I'm gonna get a hold of him as soon as I can. Hal started all of that stuff with all his guys, Sonny Dykes and Dana, and he's got a huge tree out there.
You mentioned missing coaching when you were out of it. What was it that you missed so much? Was it the mentoring side, just all of it? Do you remember kind of when you wanted to get back into that?
Working with kids, that was the biggest thing, and you can move on, and you start doing it for the paychecks, and the best coaching is small college. But the problem with small college was you never made any money. And so you move on, but then you realize how good you have it at this level. And I remember it was in the it was early 90s, maybe 90, 91. And I became an offensive coordinator. I was 25 years old. And I remember we were actually playing School of Mines at Doane College. I was the offensive coordinator at Doane College in Crete, Nebraska. And Mines was doing something really screwy in the secondary, and my kids kept telling me that they were doing it, and I'm like, there's no way that Mines is playing that coverage and playing it that way. And finally, in the fourth quarter, we were behind, and I called a play, and it was wide open, and the kids were right, and we ended up beating Mines that day. But I remember how emotional I was that I could help those kids and call a play and draw up a play that helped them win a ball game. And that's like, there was no money that I was making $12,000 a year, and I was the head baseball coach and the offensive coordinator and teaching 3 classes, and I thought I was on top of the world. And it was a priceless thing. So it's never been about anything other than just working with kids and seeing them smile and seeing them celebrate. That's a priceless thing. And Valor was that way this year. We went down there. They were coming off a 6-5 year. That was not what Valor wants. They've got high expectations, and there was a lot of kids that people would say, he can't play for you. He can't play for you. And those guys ended up playing a lot for us, and we won 11 games this year, and I was so proud of them. So that's what one, I want to be back in that, and that is my life. And with, I'm in, I got to taste business and had some success with that, but there's nothing like you can close a big deal, and there's nothing like helping a kid or winning a ball game and seeing them smile. So that's truly why I got back in. Didn't need to, but I needed it.
Coach, can you speak to your offense and your offensive philosophy, maybe how that's evolved over the course of time? I know we got to speak before one of your playoff games last year, and I felt the enthusiasm from you, how much you love coaching offense. So if you could kind of tell us what you think that's going to look like here at Colorado School of Mines,
What
and maybe the strengths that you can play to here with the smart kids that you can coach.
Well, we plan on running it. We didn't run it very much the last time I was here. We throw it all over the yard, and looking at the offensive linemen that they have. I came to practice this year and watched Tim Brandon working with the O line. I was like, holy cow, this is nice, and we had a great group of O lineman at Valor as well. And so we got back to running the ball, a lot of RPOs and perimeter screens and things like that. And then you take shots off of it. And it does take the pressure off quarterbacks where you're not just dropping back 50, 60 times a year. That's hard on them. So I think, that was something that we did out of necessity. The other time, you don't need to. And I just watched the Super Bowl, and everybody's asking me, who you got? Who you got? I said, I got the Eagles because they can run the ball and they're tougher. And that's what you have to do to win championships. And a lot of these teams that throw it all over the place, you can win 7, 8, maybe get lucky, win 9, but you're not winning championships throwing it that many times. So that's what I'm excited about is, run the ball, force them to add people to the box. And our whole philosophy is, as a quarterback, where does the ball need to go? And how do you process information? Because every play that we have, the ball could go to 4 different places, or they could keep it, or they could check to it. Can a quarterback process that? That's what we're looking for. And when they do, you got a Justin Dvorak, you got Chad Freehoff, guys that can really do that. Then it's hard for the defense to be right. And that's what a good quarterback does in our system is makes the defense wrong every single time. There's always something there, but too many people, they call a play and they've already told the quarterback where to go with it. Or, hey, let's have a full field progression. 1 to 2 to 3, 4. We'd be laying flat on our back by the time you get through those progressions. So ours is simplifying it. And I can give them keys of I can eliminate this, and you got 2 people that you're going to look at. Or in the run, we're going to go here. If they've got 3 out there, we're going into here. If they've got 4 out there, we're going to hand it off. Well, now if they're singled up on the backside, just go ahead and throw it over there. And so it's a fun offense for a quarterback to be in. And we've had a lot of success, with our quarterbacks everywhere we went. And the quarterback down at Valor just had the 3rd best season in the history of Valor Christian, and everyone told me he couldn't play. And he played pretty good this year.
Coach, what are you looking forward to about the spring season?
Getting back out on that field and getting to know these kids. And that's the biggest thing that I've learned over time. I told our staff this morning, our number one asset is our players, to where every day our players are on top of your priority list. There's going to be other things that we got to get done, but the players are always, the priority. And I look forward to leading up to spring of trying to get, I'm going to start with the seniors and I'm going to give them time. We got to get to know each other. And too many times when you take a job, you've got all these things. Hey, you got to go over and you got to meet these people. You got to meet these people. And I remember going to Montana. They had me in Palm Springs. I just wanted to be with the players, and I'm out there talking to money people, and they had me all over the place. I need to be with the players, and I want to get to know them. I want to teach them how to be a better football player, better ways of doing things, developing them, getting them confidence. So that's what I think is important. The staff knows that's important, and you win with players that are inspired and having fun, coming to practice. They look forward to coming to practice. Practice isn't fun. It's hard. It's a lot, and we ask them to go at a really, really high level of effort every single day. That's not easy, but it's satisfying when you're done. So that's what I look forward to, is just teaching these kids how it's going to be done, the process of getting to a national championship is hard and it's long, but you got to take care of it every day. And there's got to be that attention to detail and never allowing those guys to be average, and then you're a little bit farther ahead with Mines kids because they're special kids. If you can do it here, you're wired a little bit differently, and now we just got to teach them football and how to relax, process football and just relax and not use a flow chart to figure out what they're doing, and I love the kids. I did it for so long, 15 years with those guys. And I love them. And so when it all comes down to it, what am I excited about? Those players. That's it.
Speaking of the seniors, the 5th-year guys, they've had 4 coaches in their time here. How are you going to get them to buy in to your program specifically also, do you anticipate learning from them at all? Because some of these guys have been here for both national championship games.
Yeah. That's again, it's talking to them and getting to know them and earning their trust. You know, I want them to trust me, but I want to be able to trust them as well. And you can only do that. That's talking about the culture of the program. Culture is built on getting to know each other and them wanting to come to practice and come to the meetings and learn from you every day. And then the other players, we got to work for, if I point at this guy over there, he knows exactly who that guy is and where he's from, and what year he is. I've been on teams that you couldn't do that. They're like, I don't know who that guy is, so that's a culture of they don't want to mess up because they don't want to let their teams down, their teammates down. They don't want to mess up because they don't want to let their position coach down. That's a culture, and we have to make that happen very quickly for those seniors. You can't say, well, we want to be good 2 or 3 years down the line. No, we want to be really good next year. So that takes time now. Other things are going to get pushed down the list because I got to get with the players, and we've got to bring them together.
David, anything on that front as far as more coaches in 5 years?
Well, I think that because we stayed internal the first 2 times after Greg Brandon left, there wasn't that much of the continuity was very important for where the program was at those times. So even though they had 3 different coaches, it was I call it the Brando tree, right? Every coach has a tree, and we had a decade of the Brando era, and that's now over, and it's time to go back to Stitt point 2. Or 2.0, I guess. I think one other thing I would tell you that's really interesting about Bob is he's also a Mines parent, and his son went to school here while Bob was on his adventure, and he's a really bright kid, and I think Coach Stitt has a unique perspective in recruiting and in talking to these kids because, I mean, how often do you have a coach who could also say they're a parent of that school? Because I do think that's a unique perspective, and I think that also will help Bob as he comes back for his second stint.
How much of the 2 of you talk about a national championship kind of being that next step? Was that a lot involved in your conversations or anything like that?
Well, I will tell you, when Bob was here the first time, and Coach admitted to me when we had our first meeting, he didn't believe we could win a national championship here at that time. And I think there was a moment over the last decade where it became apparent that we could. And I know, and I think that really got Coach Stitt excited that we really could win a national championship here. And so it might have seemed crazy. Coach Brandon came in the door and he said, this is going to happen. And he got everyone to buy into it. And again, we also had a lot of things that we were able to get surrounding you that you do need. That certainly helped. And so I think really Bob Stitt 2.0 is coming in knowing we can win a national championship instead of thinking we never could. Right?
No, you're correct, and because we got to a certain point making the playoffs where it was, like the Sun Belt versus the Big Ten. You got to a certain level where we just couldn't line up front and compete with the best teams in the country, and that's the difference. I talk about the O-line and the D-line. You have to have those 2 position groups have to be strong to be able to win it all. And the team that runs the ball the best in big games and in championship games are the ones that win it. And we can do that here now.